y'all ready to head off the trails? I am the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do, because we'd love to have you. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. Visit my shop, War Woman Goods. You can find that on Etsy. Shout out to Bumblefoot, of course, for that amazing intro music. We really appreciate that. And we have an awesome guest for you guys tonight. I have William Nighthawk in the house tonight. And don't forget that right after this show, After Hours has a really cool show ready to go. All right. So let's get to our guest tonight. William Nighthawk is an ordained minister for Native American, Indian, and Metis people. He's a military veteran and 32-degree Scottish Rite Free Mason with over 35 years of paranormal encounters and investigation experience. William grew up with a dark black magic witch for a parent in a haunted house on a highly active paranormal property. He's a survivor of 2 near-death experiences, which made his connection to the paranormal even stronger. From ghosts to UFOs, cryptids to aliens, he's been through it all. William is the creator and owner of Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel and fellow podcast of Nighthawk by the Fire. You guys can find those on YouTube. So I would like to welcome to the show, Mr. William Nighthawk.
How are you doing, Jessica?
Oh, William, I'm awesome. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Well, I've been looking forward to it too. You know, I had the pleasure of coming on your show about a week or two ago, and we had some really good conversations. And
Yep.
You have a pretty interesting life and a history with paranormal activity. So, you know, this is a show about cryptids, okay, for the most part, and I'm really interested to hear what it was like growing up, okay, and what were some of your first experiences?
Well, actually, the first experience I had, I was probably about 4 years old, and I remember seeing all kinds of shadow people and stuff all the time. You know, it was a daily occurrence at the house and on the property, even in broad daylight. I mean, just seeing shadow people all over the place. But at about 4 years old, I had the first real experience with a cloaked, hooded figure that basically came out of our basement. And at the time, our basement had no door. It was just open downstairs to the basement.
Oh, wow.
And in the basement, there's an artesian well. And I thought that was like the heartbeat of the house, that the house was actually alive. And it was always creepy, you know, feelings in the basement. You never went down there by yourself. But I saw a brown hooded cloaked figure float through the kitchen and down into the hallway. And the next thing I know, I hear my older half sister scream, and my mother and I jump up, and you know, she takes me and we run into the hallway, and there's my sister laying down on the floor in the hallway, saying that she ran through whatever it was and it disappeared. So, but yeah,
wow.
that was the first time I saw, you know, anything as far as, you know, young goes, as far as that goes. My first cryptid encounter, being a little kid and playing outdoors, you know, in those days, you know, you always heard like howls and whoops and all kinds of weird, you know, growls and stuff like that coming from the wood line and the swamp areas.
Yeah.
So it was like second nature, you know. I always chalked it up to coyotes or, you know, or bobcats or something along that lines. But my friends and I were all playing one time. We were playing flashlight tag. That's an old thing that back in the day we used to play. And anyways, there was probably maybe 10 to 12 of us outside, and we were just little kids. I think I was like maybe probably 9 years old at the time. And we were running around in the dark and all that, and I ran around the house, the one corner of the house that faces the swamp and up a hill. And next thing I know, I had this weird feeling I wasn't standing there alone. And next thing I know, I got hit like a football player got hit and tackled.
Mhm.
And this thing, hairy thing, a little bit bigger than like I don't know, probably like a teenager, stood up and just kind of stood there and looked at me, down at me when I was on the ground, and I was looking up at it, and
Whoa.
it just kind of walked away, walked off into the darkness towards the swamp. So the only thing I can think of was that this was a young one that was just really entranced into watching all the kids playing this game,
Yeah. He
and
wanted to play.
so that's the only thing I could think of, because it was just
Wow.
it was probably maybe 5.5 feet tall at the
Yeah.
time. So it was probably like a young one, like I said,
Yeah.
But that was my first experience with a cryptid on, physical contact with a cryptid.
Wow. I mean, that's serious contact. That's like
Yeah,
playing football,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's
Well, I
that's real
mean,
contact.
if you think about it, it probably could have hurt me if it wanted to, but I don't think it wanted
Yeah.
to. I think it wanted to play. I really do. The whole
Yeah.
premise of the game was to shine a flashlight on somebody and get them to freeze until you can grab them. And, so, I mean, I think he just wanted to
Yeah.
play. So, and it
Yeah.
wasn't a female. So that I do know, it was a male. So,
Yeah.
um, but well, just because I didn't notice any breasts on him or anything. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well,
you know,
girls can be rough too. I played rugby for
yeah.
my college, so I know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up with sisters. Trust
Yeah.
me. I know how rough they can be.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
Siblings
yeah.
they're the best and the worst, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you had some activity in your home when you were a kid. And, I actually have had experiences with cloaked figures in my house, or at least one, but I felt like it was more of an ET type of an entity. Now, okay, I'm one of these people that I always have to have my doors closed, like closets and things like
Hmm.
that. And it's almost like a portal to me.
Yeah.
And so when I go to bed at night, I like having all the doors closed around me,
Hmm.
the closet doors and things like that, because I've had so much experience with entities coming into my space through doorways. So I
Yeah.
can only imagine how terrifying having that basement door could have been
Yeah.
potentially to you and your siblings when you were kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And and
Yeah.
and the bad part about it too was that some of those closets didn't have doors on them. They had curtains. So it was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you're what good is a curtain gonna do? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, what good is a door gonna do anyways? If they really want to come through, they can come through.
That's true.
But yeah, there's so many things that happened in that house. I remember one time when I was little, my mom was into the black arts, and she was very heavy into it. Um, to the point where it was destroying. My dad was a truck driver, so he was hardly around when I was growing up, which I know he kind of regretted. But
Mm.
it's just he didn't realize what was going on at the house when he was gone, and because she pretty much kept it a good secret.
Oh,
And I
wow.
mean, there was cases where people would come to her and ask her for some help with like bullies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember one time that she made this dough doll. She asked this one neighbor kid that was getting bullied by his older brother real bad, getting beat up all the time, and always had black eyes and bruises on him.
Oh, man.
And basically, he came to my mom, because he knew my mom was a witch, and he asked her for help. She said, "Yeah, get me a lock of his hair, and I'll take care of
Oh.
it."
Oh, gosh.
And anyways, he came back the next day with a lock of his hair, and she made a dough doll out of regular like baking dough, did whatever incantations on it, put the hair on it, and baked it in the oven for, I don't know, probably about a half an hour or so. Took it out of the oven, wrapped it in a black cloth, and dropped it in the bottom of a trash can and left it there.
All right, wait.
And
All right, all you audience members, don't be getting any ideas tonight, okay? Just, sorry,
Well,
I had to put that in there. It's a disclaimer. Okay.
yeah, yeah, disclaimers definitely. Well,
Okay.
it doesn't work without the incantation. So,
Okay. All right. Yeah. Y'all
um,
don't get any ideas tonight. And remember, I'm nice to all y'all. Okay. Just kidding. Oh man. So
anyways,
what happened? Did it
well,
affect that young gentleman? That boy?
well, the bully couldn't get the stink off of his body until she took the doll out of the trash
Oh.
can
Oh no.
over a month this went on.
Yeah.
And apparently he took tomato baths and all kinds of baths and stuff. It
Oh
didn't matter.
gosh.
Used all
Wow.
kinds of cologne and everything, and it just
Yeah.
didn't matter to any extent until she actually physically took that doll out of the trash can over a month later. That's when the stench went away from him.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow. See, this
yeah,
is a real thing,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Oh yeah,
the
that's the
the
real
dark
thing. All right.
magic and I mean dark medicine, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
It is a real thing, and
yeah.
it's nothing to play with. Let's just say.
No, no, it's
Yeah.
not. It's not. I've seen, and I've actually participated in a few things too, where I've seen some really bizarre things. I've seen. Well, I walked in one time with her in the bedroom where she was sitting on the bed and she was
Mhm.
talking to this mist that was in the chair next to the bed. And she always
Yeah.
told me that that was the devil's chair. That was the devil's chair. Okay. She always
Mhm.
said that to me. And anyways, make a long story short, I walked in one time and saw like a reddish tint of a mist in the chair, like something was
Oh
actually
my
physically
gosh.
sitting in the chair. And I went over to my mom and I tugged on her and I said, Mom, I said, who are you talking to? And she goes, I'm talking to the devil. Can't you see him?
Oh my gosh.
And I said, oh boy, okay. She basically made me shut up and just stay there and stand next to the bed and not move. And when she got done talking to it, it disappeared. So
Oh my gosh. Now,
yeah, I
how did
mean,
that affect you as a youngster growing up with your mom doing things like that? I mean, did it affect you negatively?
well, it definitely didn't affect me positively to be outgoing and all that
Hmm.
with other kids. It made
Yeah.
me kind of be reclusive, you know what I mean, to keep to myself because I knew things that were happening and occurring that other children wouldn't understand,
Yeah.
you know. So I mean, you pretty much have to keep it to yourself.
You
Um,
did. Yeah.
so growing up that
Understandably.
way, yeah, that growing up that way was rough. I mean, and making friends and stuff um, was pretty much a non-starter. You couldn't even begin to go there
Yeah.
because nobody would understand. Um,
Right.
even the adults didn't understand. But there was more than that happened at the house. There was a lot more. There was things. I mean, getting back to the well in the house, the artesian well.
A
She always,
conductor, by the way, of
yeah,
paranormal activity.
yeah, and this water was always black.
Oh, wow.
It was black as black could be.
Yeah.
Um, it was creepy, and the well had no cap on it. By the way, it was an open well, and it was probably 4 foot in diameter of an opening,
Yeah.
circular opening, and my dad had a well pump down in there that he would pump out into the kayak pool out in the
Hmm.
back, and basically the pump quit working one time. So he lowered me down in there. He put a rope
What?
around he put a rope around
Oh my gosh.
my underneath my armpits and
Hey, that's what
uh,
dads do, though, right? Isn't
yeah,
that what a dad's for?
yeah,
Scare the hell out of us when we're kids.
yeah. Well, he assured me everything was going to be all right, but
Yeah.
everything wasn't all right.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I get
You
down in the
survived,
water.
though.
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
you're here right now.
I survived. But the thing of it is, though, that when I got lower down in the water, it felt colder than normal cold. I don't even know how to describe that. It
Colder
was
than
like,
cold. I
yeah,
understand.
it was, it was like getting into a bathtub of freezing ice water.
Wow. You got the
And
Masogi.
yeah,
Okay.
And anyways, I went down. He wanted me to, because the pump was chained up and tied off with a rope onto the side of the wall of the well, just above the water line. And he wanted me to unhook it and untie it and help him pull the pump up, because it was about, I don't know, 20, 30 feet maybe down. And anyways, I go to unhook it, and I reach up to unhook it, and something grabbed both my ankles and pulled me under. And I
Oh
went
my
under the
gosh.
water. I went under the water, and I remember coming back up, and I remember having the chain for the pump in my hand and the rope. And I remember my dad having a hold of my back of my shirt by the back of my neck. And I saw him with one arm and the other arm on the rope that had around my waist, or around my shoulders underneath my armpits. And he yanked me up out of there. And yeah, that was really something. He never believed me that I was pulled under, but
yeah,
I know what happened to me that day. So, and that was just, that was just one of several. I mean, there were so many instances that they're all pretty much, I mean, I could go on and on and on.
yeah.
But,
Well, there is one story that I would really like to hear about. And I know the audience would like to hear it, because when you and I were talking on your show, you mentioned it. And this it kind of is bridging the connection of all the different types of paranormal activity. Because one night you were saying that your parents came into your room and you were floating in the air.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was, at the time, I must have been probably about 10 years old then. Maybe just before I was 10. But a lot of the activity centered around my room, the hallway, and the basement. And my room, by the way, was the room that my half sister was sleeping in when the cloaked hooded figure went in after her, and she ran through it. That was the room. That was my room.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't know if anybody out there remembers the old bunk beds that were made out of that real hard metal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the round, cheap tubular stuff. It was like the real harsh stuff that you'd make with cars back in the 70s and stuff. It was real rough. It was like a military style bunk bed, no ladder.
Oh, I had one of those too, actually. Yeah.
And yeah, you use that
Similar.
to climb the end of it in order to get on the top bunk and all
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and my head, I didn't have a whole lot of space between my head and the ceiling either.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I had the top bunk. I'm the oldest, so I got the top. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I never slept on the top bunk until that night. And I asked my mom, I said, since because all my friends always wanted to sleep on it when they slept over.
Yeah.
And by the way, they hardly ever slept over after the first night. So they never came back. But I said, I want to sleep in the top bunk. And she's like, okay, well, go ahead. And I went ahead and got into bed and started to go to sleep. And you get that feeling like the bedroom doors like open maybe that much, and you know how the crack of light comes through from the hallway onto the floor and onto the wall and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of lights a little path, And I remember laying there looking at that, and I remember seeing, some shadow movement and stuff. And I felt that I wasn't alone. So anyways, I fall asleep, and next thing I know, my mom and my dad are busting in, and the lights are on, and my dad's grabbing me and pulling me down to the mattress. And from what they told me, I was basically floating off the bed so high, and the bed, the top of the mattress was probably maybe 3 feet from the ceiling.
Wow.
And I was floating, and I was literally against the ceiling in the bedroom, like something was trying to pull me through the ceiling. That's when they found me, and they my dad pulled me back down on the bed, and basically I stayed with him that whole night. He sat up with me the whole night. And yeah, it was creepy. But there was, from my mom described, there was figures. She could like see like 3 fingers and 4 fingers on hands trying to pull me up through the ceiling. Now my dad didn't seem to see it. He just, he went up and grabbed me and brought me back down. Yeah, that was one thing that I could never really understand if it was maybe it was, alien related, or if it was, shadow people. Because some people fear shadow people, that they're around to take them
Mm.
into the shadow realm and all that, and
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
terrifying.
yeah. So I never
Yeah,
could understand, or figure out which it was, if it was alien related or if it was ghost related, type of activity.
yeah,
So yeah, it was
yeah.
pretty
Well, it
frightening.
it sounds kind of like a UFO abduction attempt, However, considering all of the other activity you had in that home, it could have been anything. And so that's really interesting to me because a lot of times, people think that they're being abducted. It could pretty much be anything.
Yeah.
I did a show last night about tricksters pretending to be aliens or demons
Hmm.
pretending to be aliens. Now,
Hmm.
with your mom dibbling and dabbling and being in the dark arts, let's just say,
Hmm.
um, you know, there could potentially be what people consider to be demons in your
Yeah.
home, and we were kind of last night on my show, I was kind of making a difference between demons and aliens and all that kind of stuff. D- is there a difference to you in all of this, or do you think it's kind of the same thing?
Well, I think when you're talking demons and demonic activity, you're talking fallen angels and
Mm,
any offspring that they would have. And to me, that's more of a almost a spiritual type of a haunting.
yeah,
And they can, I do believe they can manifest themselves in physical form. That's a, that's in the Bible. I mean, that
yeah,
manifest angels always manifested themselves in physical form to humans. Um, but I think that the alien thing is more of a, I don't know if you want to call it an interdimensional thing,
hmm,
or something along that
yeah,
lines. That's what I think. But I mean, they very well could be connected too, though. I mean, there could be instances. I mean, the mind tries to perceive what the eyes see, and sometimes the mind can't perceive what the eyes see.
yeah,
When you think about it, humans, we hear and see on such a low percentage of the whole spectrum of audio and visual,
yeah.
spectrums, that it's there's so much going on around us every day that we don't even see and hear. So I
Yeah,
mean,
totally. I
you know,
agree with that. I agree
and
with that statement.
so and if you think about it, it's like with dogs and cats. You act how they react sometimes, and you'll be like, "What are you looking at?" Or "What do you see?" Well, they see something obviously because they see different spectrum than we see, and they're more
Yeah.
susceptible to seeing stuff on a certain level than we can. So, but
Well,
yeah.
well, William, you have had at least two near-death experiences. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think having an experience so young like that, because I know you had one when you were very young,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that that opened you up more to the paranormal, and that do you think that you've just always been on this frequency, and do you think that had something to do with it?
I think it might have heightened it. I think it was like taking the volume control and going from maybe like a 3.5 to a 4 to a 10 to 11.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I think it did heighten it. But yeah, like I said, we've always had the activity. I always noticed the activity, but maybe I did see it a little bit more of a connection to it with after the near death experience. I mean, I was literally almost beaten to death when I was little. I was between 3 and 4 years old, and I don't remember much of it. I remember seeing my grandmother because she had recently passed before me, before that whole incident, and
Mhm.
you know, I remember waking up on in with paramedics and my mom and my dad around me. And I remember for the longest time, I wasn't allowed out of the house. I under a doctor's care, because back in those days, the doctors came to you. You didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about going to the hospital. They would actually come to your house and take care of you. And so yeah, that was the first time. I remember being at peace, seeing my grandmother,
Mm.
um, but I don't remember, you know how some people say they see a tunnel and a light at the end of the tunnel and all that. And I'm sorry, but there's nothing like that that happened to me. Even the second time with the cancer, I remember going from darkness to light,
Mhm.
and I don't remember any tunnel. It just went from darkness to light. And I remember hearing voices saying, "It's not my time. I have to go back."
Oh
So,
yeah.
and that was pretty much, the same with when I was a child. My grandmother telling me, it's not your time. You need to go back. There's so much more for you to do and to see and
Yeah.
experience. So
Yeah, you have to tell your story. You can't get out of here this easy, okay?
yeah,
Yeah, not that it was easy. Not just saying that, but yeah, that's tough. That's really hard. Even hearing your story, my heart goes out to you. That's really hard. Even to just feel the emotions of it. And I didn't even experience it, but that's
yeah.
I can feel it. Yeah. So yeah, well, you've had more experiences with cryptids, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Dogman and what you know about Dogmen. That's been coming up a lot lately in topics, and also with the Sasquatch
Yeah.
beings. And I'd like to hear your opinion on both of those. Like, what are the origins? What kind of relationship have you had with them? Your life, if any.
Well, they've always been here. Um,
Hmm.
they now one thing you have to understand is a lot of the Dogman sightings that you're seeing. There's like 7 distinct varieties or 6 distinct varieties of them. Honestly, I don't know all of them. I only
I
know,
I
a
actually have
couple
a
of them.
picture. Do you want me to pull
Oh,
it up
oh
just to
yeah,
show it?
if you want, yeah.
I didn't mean to
Now,
interrupt, but I did. This is the only picture I uploaded today. Okay, I did
yeah,
pull this picture up.
yeah. Now,
Um,
see the variants of the variant, the canine variant number 2 and number 1 are the ones that are seen the most, and variant 3
mhm.
down below in the blue. Those are the 3 that are seen the most, at least they're in my area.
Yes,
Um, the other ones, I can't honestly say Dogman
right.
on them
I
because
hear you.
only because you have so many different cryptids out there. You have, you have people that have claimed to see cat people, which
Yes.
could be the variant 4 on that, down
Hmm.
below. You have people that have seen the Gugway, or, you know,
It's kind of snouted a
as
little bit.
right.
Yeah.
And my people call him the bear man, because we had no way to describe the snout, because it wasn't a dog's
Yeah.
snout. It wasn't a monkey. It wasn't, anything. And, so we just called it the bear man.
I like that. That makes sense. And they're
So,
ferocious.
and that could be a variant too of the dogmen, cryptids. You never know. I mean, there's so many different variants.
Yeah.
But the only 3 that I've actually, been working on is the 3 that I pointed out. um and it's they've been around a while, just as long as the Bigfoot or Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them.
Hmm.
Hairy man, I mean, he's got like 18 million names. um at one time I knew all of them, but I'm not going to try that right now. um but yeah, they've been around a while. We call them the ancient ones. um we actually, my family, my dad always bestowed upon me, certain things to do before you go out into the forest, or, into the wilderness. And certain respectful things to do to show respect to the spirits before you go out. And he always told me, take tobacco with you wherever you go. Take tobacco with you, like the pipe tobacco.
Uh-huh.
And I always listened to him. And he said, whenever you come to a stream, before you cross that stream, you take a pinch of that tobacco and you offer it to the water, and you say thank you for nourishing us and giving us the liquid of life. and then you can cross it, without a problem. He said, whenever you go to get firewood from a tree, you take a pinch of that tobacco and you lay it at the base of the tree, and you say a prayer, a silent prayer, and you thank that tree for honoring you with its wood to keep your family warm and to cook your food for you.
Yeah.
There was always a way to give back to make things more positive. Okay.
More
Instead of,
balanced,
yeah,
right?
more balanced.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And, anyways, that's how I lived my life growing up in the woods and stuff. And, so I did that for everything. And,
Yeah.
it's just, when you're out in the woods as a kid and you don't have, you never had Nintendo. I mean, heck,
Yeah.
back then it was Atari, and it was two paddles and a ball that went
Oh,
back and
I
forth.
had it. Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm dating myself. I know, but I had I had an Atari with a
yeah,
Pong or whatever that was.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
I remember getting the first Nintendo system. I mean, that was a big deal,
yeah, I remember
Yeah.
getting the first. I remember getting the first color TV. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
dating myself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
um. Anyways, not to get off the subject of that, but um,
Yeah, you
the,
got me
the
on that one.
the thing with the Bigfoot and all that, calling them the ancient ones, my dad's always told me that they're just missing tribes. They are literally, I mean, at one time in our history of being Native American, we used to barter with them and trade with them and interact with them more,
Mhm.
and we could actually speak each other's language.
Wow.
Um, and yes, there's four different varieties of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, from what I've learned over the years from my personal research
Mhm.
and from what my family has, shown me throughout the years, with interacting and all that, and our history. You have the really big ones, that my dad always called them brutes. They could get up to like 14 feet tall. They came down from Alaska. They were in the Northwest territories of Oregon, Washington, coast of California, on into areas of Idaho, Utah, Montana. That pretty much covered their range. And then you had the ones that came up from South America that were smaller in stature, but just as strong and powerful as the big ones. They usually got between 7 to 8 feet tall. They pretty much, my dad said that they always stayed in the swamp areas.
Yeah.
Um, that seldom did they get up to like 9 feet tall, but it wasn't uncommon to see one maybe 9 feet tall.
That's like what we
Um,
have here in Georgia,
but
actually, in
but
Florida.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he said that they're very, very mean and nasty.
Mhm.
But he always told me, he said, son, if you grew up in a swamp, you'd be mean and nasty too, because
Right.
you
Just for the
gotta,
gnats alone.
well, the gnats, you figure the poisonous cottonmouths, you got the wild hogs,
Gators.
you got
Yeah.
gators, yeah, you got
Snakes.
all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff that you got to literally fight to survive, and that's why they're
Yeah.
mean. They just, they're very mean that way. I know, brown dwarf. And anyways, yeah, shout out to Oregon and North Cali. Yeah. Um, anyways,
Oh, and Brown Dwarf said ticks. We can't forget ticks.
oh
That's one of our
yeah,
favorites, right?
oh yeah. I definitely can't forget that. I had one in my ear
Yeah.
the other day.
Ooh, hope we got that
Yeah,
one out.
yeah. It's amazing how quick they let go when you dump peroxide on them.
Yeah.
Um,
Snapping turtles as well. Sorry, we
yeah.
got Pono here. Said snapping turtles.
Oh
I
yeah,
we
yeah.
we
Well,
could
just
go on, but
yeah,
yes,
we
there's a
can
lot
go
of
on and on,
dangers.
but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that would make you angry if you lived in a swamp. So that's why
Yeah.
basically, they're the way they are. That and the fact that food's probably a lot more scarce in the swamp than it is in, on the regular, forest floor.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have the ones that are like around Michigan, Wisconsin, parts of Ohio, and all that, which is the Ojibwe people call the Gugway.
Mhm.
Um, and the reason we group them into with that is at one time we used to be able to at least be on a friendship type of a thing where we respect each other, and we would, if we saw each other in the wilderness, we would like just ignore each other and just walk their different paths. But recently in the history of Native people, it's been more of a violent interaction with them than anything. The Gugways are known to steal children and all that.
Ooh.
They're known to kill dogs, violently attack dogs, and basically not even like take them for food, just mangle them. Anyways, that's the third type. Then you have the human-looking ones. Now, the human-looking ones are the ones that have the flat nose, broad eyes, and the broad
Mhm.
forehead. They'll have like right here will be just around the eyes and stuff will be like regular skin, but it will be
Yeah.
like a grayish to a dark color because if you don't bathe your whole life, your skin's gonna turn into a certain color.
We call it a little
Then they
ashy.
have
We need some lotion.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah ash ashy's a good way to
Ashy's what I
describe it
call
actually.
it. My skin can get
Yeah,
ashy sometimes.
and anyways, they have the facial hair and everything, but
Yeah.
and they can get up to like 10 feet tall or so. They're big, muscular, like the ones from Alaska. They're pretty much the ones that. Now this is just going from my family history. I'm not claiming to be an expert. Anybody out there, so please don't get it in your head that I'm claiming to be an expert because I'm not. I'm just a Native American that grew up learning all this from generations upon generations of being taught. Okay. Um, anyways, but the human looking ones are the most friendly. They're the ones that like to gift. They're the ones that like to interact. They're the ones that like to
Mhm.
watch children for hours. They'll literally sit there if they hear children playing. They're around. If they hear children playing, they are
Yeah.
around. If they can see them, they are around because they're so stealthy you won't even know they're there. Okay.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, they're the ones that gift. They're the ones that interact. We had a couple that used to come over to my buddy's house on the other side of the swamp. They had chicken pens, chicken coop, and every now and then, he would, at night he would hear the chickens acting up, and he went out there. He said he went out there one night. His name was Jimmy, and he went out there one night, and he come back the next day, and he told me, he says, I saw a big hairy man, and I said, really? And we were like probably 13 years old at the time. I said, well, I saw a big hairy man too, and so we exchanged stories, and here he said that the hairy man was reaching into the chicken coop and picking out the eggs, and it took like maybe a handful of eggs and put the chicken back in there and closed the door behind it
Oh, that was
to to
nice.
so it wouldn't get loose. And here apparently the Bigfoot, the human Bigfoot, was actually doing this quite a bit. And
You're
you know
wondering where your eggs
I
were
mean,
going, huh?
yeah, I mean it's like yeah, I mean that shows you just intelligence, extreme intelligence. And everybody thinks they're just dumb animals. And let me tell you something, they're not dumb
Yeah.
animals.
No.
You know, they are not stupid. In fact, I believe they're smarter than humans. I believe that humans
Yeah.
went one way with technology, and all the cryptids went the other way with nature and the natural
Yeah.
laws. And anybody that's dealt with natural laws, and even like I hate to say it, witchcraft,
Hmm.
um, they know that natural law has powers. It has spiritual powers and stuff. Like Mother Earth has power, the tree has power, the water has power. The rock has power. Each animal has power. It's just the
Yeah.
way it is. It's the fact of life that we're all. Um, but anyways, I'm rambling on. But yeah, there's four different types of them, and
Hmm.
that's basically what I was taught. So, and
Wow.
my interactions with them are, I mean, I've had several encounters with the human ones and um, the big ones. We actually traveled out towards California one time. We went to when I was like 14 years old. We went to like Knott's Berry Farms or something, my dad and I, and so we went out there and we stayed in Colorado, and that was basically where I had my third actual sighting of Bigfoot, but the big one. This one was probably every bit of 11 feet tall. It was huge.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah, it was huge. It was like the Hulk. I mean, and I'm not talking the Bill Bixby
Super
Hulk.
muscular. Yeah.
I'm talking like
steroids, right?
Yeah, well, I'm talking like this.
Oh, but now isn't that a 3D print of what you actually saw?
Yeah, this is a 3D print of what I saw. Yeah,
that's amazing, and that's huge.
Yeah.
11 feet.
Yep.
An 11-foot Bigfoot, a big 11-foot Bigfoot.
my first actual visual sighting, other than getting tackled by one young one, was we were riding dirt bikes in a field, and the field was surrounded by trees, and you can see the path, the trailhead that we came in on with the motorcycles, and dirt bikes in them days was loud and cracked a lot. And anyways, we were running around this field, and one thing led to another, and we just went around the field, and something told me to stop and get off the bike and turn the gas off and just sit and relax for a while. Well, I pulled up to where the other guys are, and they were staring down the tree line, where we came in at. And so I reached down, and I blow the gas tank, I turn the gas off, and I get off the motorcycle. And as I'm lifting my left leg off of the seat of the motorcycle, I'm looking down the tree line.
Yeah.
Okay. And I see what they're staring at. And I looked at it, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't believe I'm seeing this. And here was this creature. I don't even want to call it a creature, but it was standing.
That's a different one.
Yeah, it was standing profile.
Wow.
And it was reaching up in a tree, and I couldn't tell for sure if it was reaching for a small one that was in the tree on a branch up above.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it out, but it seemed like it was interacting with something. Okay. Yeah. And the trees were so green and thick, you couldn't really tell. So anyways, when we got done, by the time we all looked at each other and said, what in the, heck is that? Not in that exact language, but, we turned around and looked again, it was gone. And I mean, we're talking no noise, Jessica.
I know. I feel you. Breaking. That's how it is with us. Yeah.
Not even because when they teach you, when you're Native American, they teach you how to track and stuff and hunt.
Yes.
You're taught signs. You're taught how to read signs. You're taught how to read the wind. You're taught how to read the tree leaves. You're taught how to read the ground, the animals, the signs from the animal. So, I mean, nothing could even tell that it was there.
So this is a great segue, actually, William. My friend Christina Gomez is in the chat. Thank you so much, Christina, for that super chat. You are amazing. We love you very much at SOR. She has a question, William. She wants your opinion on whether these cryptids are interdimensional or surviving in cave and tunnel systems.
Okay.
Or both.
That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've actually had that question brought to me. Interdimensional, see, to me, being Native American, interdimensional is like going from the spirit world to our world, our 3D world. So yes, I mean, we believe, being Native American, that they are spiritual in nature too, not only physical, but they have the capability to walk both worlds. So yes, I would say they could be considered interdimensional. And yes, they do use cave systems and tunnels. And the only reason that I'm saying that without a doubt on my end of it is because a lot of the areas that I researched in when I was younger was the fact that there was a lot of caves. There was water, there was caves, and there was game, and easy travel systems too. There was, like the streams and the rivers. There was the cave systems. There was power lines. There was all kinds of ways, um, all kinds of hollers to travel through without being seen, ridge lines. I mean, there was just so many different ways to travel and not being seen. It was incredible. So I believe they do live in some kind of an underground system.
Yeah.
So
I would have to agree with that myself. I think they do too. But uh, they do so much. What we call the X factor on my teams is that it's unexplainable. Okay, just disappearing out of thin air and things like
yeah,
that. So that was a great question. Thank you, Christina. Now, speaking of underground, I've been doing a lot of studying of Dogman lately, and when I remote view Dogman encounters, a lot of times they're coming from underground facilities. Okay, and
hmm
I don't know a whole lot about Dogman and a whole lot about underground facilities, but now you have a military background. And I was
yeah.
wondering if maybe you have a little insight on what's going on with these dogmen in these underground facilities.
Well, something the public doesn't know is the fact that underground facilities for the military have been around for a very long time. That's nothing recent. They've been around since World War II. Some of them even been around since World War One. These facilities were built to test and develop weapons,
Hmm.
um, whether it was biological weapons or mechanical weapons by
Hmm.
design. Um, Now, Dogman being a cryptid, see, one of the theories I've always had is we have what we call the chunk of Woricon. And I always, everybody, makes it sound like it's you know, the prehistoric wolf. I don't believe it's actually that. I believe that the wolf breed that they're talking about is a dog man. Um,
Hmm.
I think that it has the capability of walking on two legs, but it prefers to walk on four. That's why it's called the Shunka. It's a dog killer, and they were known to steal children and stuff too. So, but getting back on the subject of the
Yeah.
underground, the DUMS, as they're called, deep underground military installations are what they are. And, they've been around a long time. I've gotten into plenty of arguments with people that weren't in the military about this next thing I'm going to bring up, and that is a super soldier program.
Yes.
Um, Russia's tried to do it with the silverback gorilla, and trying to breed the sperm of a silverback gorilla with the egg of a fertile Russian woman, and it didn't succeed. Um, that was the first attempt that I recall hearing about. But our government has been working on a program to where they've basically utilized every animal you can think of to try and genetically enhance a super soldier, a soldier that wouldn't get tired, a soldier that wouldn't want to get paid.
Yeah.
Um, something that was easy to control and easy to train.
And a
Um,
killer.
and
Yeah.
and ruthless, yes, ruthless as far as not letting anything stand in its way.
Yeah.
Um, my dad, he to me, my dad was the toughest person I ever knew in my life, and he still is. And I'll say that because he was a part of Patton's Fourth Armored Division,
Wow.
and he was an infantryman, but he was also the middleweight boxing champion for the military at the
Wow.
time, and so Patton won all kinds of money off of him. So him and General Patton were pretty good friends.
I bet he
Um,
he learned a few secrets from General Patton.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, that's why Patton was killed, I believe. And I do believe he got murdered.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother subject. Um, but yeah, to get back on the Dogman thing, yeah, the underground facilities have been around for a while. Dogman, they just they're still doing it today. They're hunting them down. You're going to see Black Hawk helicopters, and I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for this. So if I end up disappearing, you guys know where I went.
Hey, I'm right there with
Um,
you. I understand. We are not
anyways, don't,
suicidal.
yeah,
Right.
don't think we're suicidal, because we're
We're
not.
not.
Also, if the sound cuts out, I'll resort to writing it down on a piece of paper.
Just hold the
Um,
paper up. Yeah. We're having these issues this weekend.
yeah. Anyways, I'll get it
Yeah.
as quickly as possible. That, if you see black helicopters out in the middle of nowhere in national parks, they're not just tourism. There because they are hunting cryptids. They're there because they are genetically enhancing these cryptids so they can control them and making them to super soldiers. Okay, these
Yeah.
cryptids have been around a long time. Okay, yes, some of them are interdimensional. Yes, they are both. They're physical and interdimensional. What we call spiritual, being Native American, and we'll put that across the entire board. Okay, all the cryptids, including Lizard Man, Mothman, all of them. The military industrial complex does more than we as civilians could ever know. You, Jessica, as a remote
Yeah.
viewer, and you probably have a lot of information in that head that you're told that if you release to the public, you will disappear. Okay, that's
Perhaps
what when
that
you're
might happen occasionally.
when you're in the military and you are above top secret security clearance, which is what I was above top secret security clearance. When you're in the military and you're dealing with the military industrial complex, which is part of the military, that's why it's called the industrial complex. Because without Boeing, we wouldn't have aircraft. Without Grumman, we wouldn't have weapons. I mean, it's just, it's just tit
Goes
for
hand in
tat,
hand. Yes.
Right, exactly. Um, Basically, um, they're doing all kinds of stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
that we have no idea as civilians is what's going on. And you talk about, and I can even bring up CERN,
Oh yeah.
and
That's one of my
some of the
favorite
other stuff.
topics.
There's there's all kinds of portals. There is a lab in Tennessee
Oh yeah.
that
Oak Ridge.
that yeah that
We've heard of it.
is opening up portals. And what they're doing with these portals, they don't actually tell you what they're doing with the portals, but they are opening them. Okay, and when you open up a portal, anything can come through, any kind of
Yeah.
entity. Okay, and I think that's also a problem they have on Skinwalker Ranch, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
is coming through, back and forth traveling. And
Yes.
that's a whole nother theory, Jessica. So
It is.
bear with me. Bear with me.
Yeah. Well, we only have a
It's the
couple of minutes left. So yeah,
yeah,
we have
it's
about
the Jacob's
2 minutes.
yeah, it's the Jacob's ladder theory. And
Yeah.
we're basically, it's like a conduit, that's opening up a portal that where interdimensional beings can come through. So
Yeah.
some people call them demons, some people call them aliens or whatnot. It doesn't matter. Cryptids. But yeah, that's just a
Yeah.
theory. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it in an
Yeah.
hour program, given everything that
I
I've been through. So
It is. Well, one thing I know the audience is very curious about, you don't really talk about skinwalkers very often, but something that you do is help people who are being haunted by a skinwalker. So,
yeah,
in about a
yeah.
minute, can you kind of tell me what you do with that, or how you're how you're related to
Uh,
that?
well, I do it because my spiritual medicine allows me to do it.
Yeah.
The power that I have when I do ceremony is a protective power. Um, I don't really even know how to describe it. It's a connection I have to Mother Earth and to Kashila and grandfather. Um, yeah, and it's just something I do for people. There's a group of cryptid investigators out of Illinois that was having a problem, and I did the ceremonies for him, and it takes a lot out of you. It takes a toll out of you because you're
Oh, yeah.
praying and you're singing and you're chanting and you're burning the herbs and all that, and just the feather fans, the sweetgrass medicine sticks. I mean, it's just it's everything you're doing to make somebody safe.
Oh, yeah.
And every little bit helps. So I've been told that it helps too. So
Well, that's a big job, William. It's a big
yeah,
job. And I know it really helps a lot of people out. And so it's very commendable. So thank you.
well,
Yeah. And
thank you.
thank you for being here tonight and just sharing all your wisdom with us. It has really been an honor having you on my show tonight, William.
No,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. I appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure being here and an honor, talking to everybody and getting to know everybody. So,
Yeah. Well, tell people where they can find your podcast.
oh, it's Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast on YouTube. If you can go to YouTube, subscribe to it, please. I'm trying to get up the subscribership. Right now, there's currently like 51 videos on there of different types of podcasts that we've done. We do everything from UFOs to cryptids to ghost hunting to you name it, all kinds of stuff. We talk all kinds of weird stuff. So, but yeah, Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast. It's on YouTube, Facebook. You can friend me at William Nighthawk on Facebook if you want. And I don't get into the political stuff. I don't get into the he said, she said stuff. So
Right.
if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, please understand that I stay out of arguments. So
We try. That's a good
yeah,
rule to follow. I do too. We
yeah,
try.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
William, thank you so much for being here tonight. Everybody, please go subscribe to his YouTube channel and find him on Facebook. And William, I hope you'll come back because we have lots of other stuff we could talk about in the future. Okay.
oh yeah, definitely. I'll
Yeah.
definitely yeah.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
listen, have a wonderful night, and I'll be talking to you soon. Okay. Thank you for being here
Okay,
tonight. All
thank you.
right. Oh, hold on. I didn't mean to cut you off. My finger slipped. Yes.
Oh, I just said bye. I just said bye.
Okay.
So
I thought I'm sorry. Have a good night. Okay. We'll see you
you
next time.
too.
Okay. All right, y'all. That was me hitting the button too fast. Don't forget that right after the show, you can join Grant and After Hours crew. They're going to take you on a great journey for the next 3 hours next Saturday on Off the Trail. My guest is Bigfoot Michigan Rob. We're going to be talking about cryptids, and I can't wait to see y'all there. So for now, I'm the cryptid huntress, Jessica Jones, and I am headed off the trail, and I will see you guys next week. I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Y'all have a good night. Bye.